Okay, hey everyone. Really excited to be talking to you guys today because my new Solas 4-blade prop has finally arrived, so I'm finally making the switch. Before I show you guys obviously how it goes on the water and run through a range of tests, I wanted to talk to you about, really about what's the problem I'm trying to solve by changing to this propeller. You don't just go to a four-blade prop because you think it's a good idea just because it sounds good to have an extra blade. You need to have an actual reason to change your propeller. So I wanted to discuss that with you guys today. Okay, so my current Barcrusher, it's got obviously the Suzuki df200 on the back, 4-stroke with a 3-blade propeller. Now the boat, one thing I've noticed about this boat, ever since the first day that I picked it up, it rides really bum heavy. So what I mean by that is it just feels like it's always basically trying to do that effectively. Like the back of the boat just always wants to sit low in the water. And that is a problem for a few reasons. So obviously you guys would know if you've been watching the channel, most of the fishing and boating we do is basically out offshore in rough conditions. Now, if you think about the shape of these boats and most boats, they have a very, very sharp angle at the front of the boat, made to obviously punch through the chop, and less of an angle at the back of the boat, which is also called the dead rise. So this boat has 20-degree dead rise at the back, but it's much, much sharper at the front. Now, it's for that reason that you want the sharpest point of the boat cutting you through the water, as much as possible. Now, if your boat is constantly riding like this with the nose up in the air, what happens is you're hitting into the waves under about the belly of the boat, which is not the sharpest point of the boat, and it will make the boat bang harder into the waves and also ride slower. You'll have to physically slow down. So riding with the nose in the air offshore is certainly not ideal. Now obviously I have trim tabs on my boat, so that can help me keep the nose of the boat down. But I would say this, your boat has got a problem if you have to constantly have your engine trimmed all the way in, basically as far as it goes, as well as use your trim tabs to keep the nose of your boat down. And that's basically how I have to operate at the moment. Now you can do that and it does work, but there are a few disadvantages. So by having your engine, instead of it being trimmed level, if it's trimmed all the way in, the centrifugal force is going to be sort of pushing up under and trying to push the nose of the boat down, and basically in a nutshell it works your engine harder, so more fuel. Same with excessive use of trim tabs. Obviously trim tabs create drag in the water, so if you're using them too much, more fuel usage. So, this is my second Barcrusher, second 670, and I basically didn't have this happening on the last boat, and there are a few reasons why I think that's the case. So the last boat it had an Evinrude G2, firstly, so the engine just naturally has a lot more torque, direct injected 2-stroke. Also, I had a lot less weight further back in that boat, so my current boat has the long-range fuel tank, which basically has fuel, the fuel tank going all the way to the back of the boat, whereas the first 670 actually had a kill tank back there, so the fuel was further forward. Now, if you're always moving forward, trolling, cruising, whatever, the fuel is naturally going to go to the back of the tank, so it's always going to be sitting at the furthest back part of the tank. So I've got this really big tank now with all this extra weight down the back. I also have, eskies, often have them loaded up under the seats with a lot of weight in them. Again, they're about sort of middle of the boat. So, yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is if you have a boat that carries a lot of weight down the back of your boat, with big fuel tanks and all that sort of stuff, you're more than likely to have the same sort of problems that I'm having at the moment. And believe it or not, a huge amount of boats out there, and even people that I know, people have their boats propped incorrectly, because let's face it, the way that boats are set up from the factory, they go, oh, what's the standard combination? We're putting a Suzuki df200 on a Barcrusher 670 HT. Yeah, we go with XYZ prop. Does it rev out to near enough to the maximum RPM of the engine? Yes, it does. Great, job done. Customer, come pick up your boat. Like, let's face it, that's basically how it happens, and that's fine. It doesn't necessarily mean though that boat shops, go to the nth degree of working with the customer to see how they're going to use their boat in an offshore circumstance, etc. But also, from a cost perspective, obviously this prop costs a reasonable amount of money. I believe it's worth it, but a lot of people, they don't want to spend that extra money, so that's fine too. So look, with all that in mind, by having your boat sort of running, bum heavy most of the time, what it also means is to keep your boat flat, you have to go faster to keep it up on the plane. So if you need to be running your boat at sort of 20 knots plus to keep it flat, out in offshore conditions, I would also say I think you've got a propping problem. So I'll basically tell you what I think and hope this propeller is going to do and how it's going to solve those problems I've just mentioned. So with the four blade prop, obviously the extra blade, you've got more bite in the water. So what it does is it naturally provides more stern lift for the boat, basically at all speeds. So that will mean it should get on the plane faster, quicker, so quicker whole shot, quicker acceleration. It should stay flatter, planing at lower speeds, so which is really good for those really rough days offshore where you might not be able to even do 20 knots. On days where it is super choppy, big swell, big chop, sometimes you might have to slow down to 15 knots, and you don't want your boat doing that at 15 knots. You want it stable so you can actually control the boat in those conditions. So acceleration is a big deal. Additional torque basically throughout the entire rev range should be achieved, and that ability to really slow the boat down, control it, keep that nose down. Now another thing which this prop I'm hoping also does is by having the fourth blade on the prop, obviously the prop is completely balanced, so you've got even numbers of blades on that prop all the way around. So what I've heard that it can also do is give your boat a lot better stability underway. So sometimes with my boat, when I go to accelerate, it will lean a little bit and I'll have to actually adjust the trim tabs. So I'm interested to see basically how that goes. So look, stick around. Comprehensive water test is coming. I'll go through basically everything: fuel usage, RPM at different speeds, fuel usage at different speeds, acceleration, timing, top speed, all that sort of stuff. I will comprehensively review this change, and as always, there'll be absolutely no BS. I have no affiliation with Solas whatsoever, so I'll be telling you guys absolutely how it is. Now, I am pretty confident that this is going to work because I have actually done this change one time before on a 6-meter boat. So look, I am very confident, I am very excited, and all I would say is, yeah, stick around, watch this, because I think there are a lot of people out there that have their boats incorrectly propped, especially when it comes for offshore work, and you guys too could benefit from a change, and I'll tell you guys exactly how to find the right prop for your boat, put you in touch with the right people, etc. It really is very easy. Last thing I want to say before I end it there are a lot of fake Solas props on the market, so be very careful. I've been talking about this for a while. People have been reaching out to me saying, yeah, I made the change, I've got a Solas, and basically a lot of those people don't really have a real Solas prop, they have a fake prop, and some of them contacted actual Solas, the real company, or the real distributor in Australia, and they were told, sorry, we can't help you because that's not a real one. Now, Brad and I happen to know of a person that put one of these props on their 300 to 350 horsepower Mercury, one of the fakes I should say, and the prop actually shattered on the guy. So be careful what you're buying, be careful who you're buying from, don't buy a fake, stick around. This prop is going on the boat tomorrow, so video will be coming ASAP. So, cool.